I have a dream. I have a dream that someday the people of the earth will learn to live at peace with one another. Instead of plundering and killing each other, that we will learn to share with each other. Instead of going to war for each other's resources, we'll share each other's resources. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think so. I think a lot of people share this dream. So what's the problem? I have a dream that someday not only will people learn to live at peace with one another, but also that they'll learn to live at peace with the animal kingdom. Instead of slaughtering the animals by the millions to satiate their own desires to eat the flesh of another living being, that they will learn to coexist peacefully instead of slaughtering them. Instead of raising animals in the most inhumane conditions, they will be raised in, humane conditions. I have a dream that someday, hopefully someday soon, the people of the earth will not only learn to live at peace with one another and with the animal kingdom, but also in harmony with the earth. Instead of raping her for her resources, I hope to one day soon see the day when, instead of plundering and raping the earth, we can learn to live in harmony. We can use her resources without raping her. We can stop poisoning her water, which is our water supply, which in turn poisons us with pesticides, with toxic waste, with all manner of unnatural chemicals from all manner of corporations all around the world in many, many nations, from the first world nations all the way to the third world nations. The pollution of the earth is beyond insane, and it's killing not only the earth, it's killing all her resources, which are our resources, and it's killing us. This is not a sustainable way of life. The problem, however, is this dream doesn't really seem all that realistic. Because, in one way, shape, or form, pretty much every politician out there, when they run for office, promise to give us this dream. Somehow. They might not all have the same exact vision, but they all talk about peace and abundance and making things better, change for the better, and yet nothing ever changes. And how much money is spent on politicians? A lot, millions, every election cycle, maybe billions when you add up all the politicians worldwide. And what happens? Well, maybe your politician that you support, maybe that politician doesn't win, and then all those millions of dollars are wasted. Well, maybe they do win, and those millions of dollars are still wasted, because guess what? Nothing ever changes, because politics is a game, and it's set up so that real change can't happen. Just look at history. Nothing ever changes. The environment keeps getting worse. The pollution keeps getting worse. The wars never ending. Does the slaughter of animals ever diminish? No, it doesn't. How come we can't at least raise animals humanely if we're going to eat them? I don't know. Probably because of big food. And they're lobbying on politicians. So obviously it seems unrealistic, this dream of mine, but I believe lots of people share this dream. It's simple. Peace on earth. It really shouldn't be that hard. They tell us that change, just like wealth, trickles down from the top. But is that true? Well, looking at how politics works and how the systems of the world work, it really doesn't seem to be the case. Does the wealth trickle down? We've got how many multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar corporations in this country, and it trickles down like drops. They've got buckets and rivers loads and lake loads, and we get drops at the bottom. That's their idea of trickle down. So if change, we expect it to trickle down the same way, it'll be how many thousands of generations before the real change actually happens? And that's if it even starts at the top like wealth does, which it doesn't, because, well, the people at the top make way too much money off of all the wars and all the wars and all the big oil. They make way too much money off of killing each other and raping the earth. So it's not going to trickle down. So if we want peace on earth, we have to understand the underlying truth that peace is not going to trickle down. Peace starts within us, and then within our communities, and then it spreads outwards like a fire. A fire starts small with the spark, and then from the spark it spreads to a small fire, and then eventually in the right conditions it spreads until it's a wildfire and it takes over the whole forest and burns it down. So like a wildfire, we need to sow seeds of peace within ourselves. We need to find inner peace if we ever expect to have peace on earth. It's got to spread. Peace within has to spread to communities. So my dream, really, is just to create a community that can act as a light in a world of darkness, a community that can help show the world that we humans, we can live at peace with each other, we can love each other, and we can spend our lives working not to slave away for the machine, for the government, 1/3 of our lives going to taxes. We can actually work to make this world a better place. So how do I envision this? I've had this dream for several years now, and it looks something like this. It starts with a small community where people, instead of fighting with each other, they help each other, and people share everything. Any animals in this community that are there, instead of being raised to be slaughtered, they're raised in humane conditions. I envision a community where people really don't have any possessions to speak of, maybe some basic ones, but at the same time, though each individual has pretty much nothing, everyone in the community has more than enough because they share everything with each other. In this community, instead of everybody working for the government and for corporations, they would simply be working to help each other. There would be gardeners, and their food would be shared with everyone, and there would be no need for money. Well, there might be need for little money, but the overall essence of the community would be to run without money as a basic currency. The currency would be love. People trade, not I'll give you this, you give me that, but everyone just shares everything. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's that simple. It would, in my mind, it would be amazing. You might call it socialistic, but it's a voluntary socialism where everyone entering into this community and living this lifestyle would do so on their own free will. If they didn't like it, they could leave and go back to normal society and continue to have 1/4 of their monies being taken by the government if that's what they want, and go back to being debt slaves and watching 7 hours of TV a day, or on their smartphones all day. If that's what they want to do, work full-time 60 hours, 80-hour jobs just to put a roof over their head. If that's what they want to do, they're free to leave. It's not like government where people put a gun to your head if you don't want to be a part of the society, if you don't want to pay your taxes, if you don't follow this law, follow that law. No, not like that. This would be voluntary. So sure, it might be called socialism. It would be just like the community of Pythagoras, Jesus' early disciples. There's been other communities, ascetic communities throughout history that have functioned just fine, and they've thrived. People were plenty happy because they had everything they needed. There could be doctors, and instead of doctors getting rich, profiting off of people's sicknesses, the doctors would simply help the people in the community get well because they care about them. And in turn, those people, they might grow food, and that food gets shared with everyone. There might be a mechanic in the community. He's going to fix people's cars without charging them. And in return, well, he's going to get healed. He's going to get healing from the doctors when he needs it, or the other healers. He's going to get his food from the people that are growing gardens. There might be musicians, and there's not going to be pay for concerts. You're not going to have to pay to go to the concerts. Everyone will be able to enjoy the music for free. Everything will be free, and yet nothing will be free. It will all be everybody using their own energy to help each other. No percentage of their energy is going to go and get siphoned off to some greedy, rich corporation or government official. There wouldn't be militaries for defense. There wouldn't be policemen with guns. There probably wouldn't even be armed guards. Why would you even need that? If peace is what you want, then having guns and threatening those who would do harm to you, threatening to harm them, in the long run, that might work. It might defend your community, but it's not going to bring peace. It's like Jesus said, love your enemy, don't resist evil people. It might sound insane, but if peace is what you truly want, you gotta find other weapons besides guns with bullets, like knowledge and love. I mean, why couldn't there be a community with a force field of love so strong that it repels anyone who would dare come near it with their greed, their hatred, wanting to destroy such a community? And after all, there's been communities like this, and they're very easily demonized by the government and by their opponents when they're armed to the teeth and ready to fight. It's much, much harder to demonize peaceful people who refuse to fight, who refuse to take up arms no matter what, even if it end up costing them their life. And that's not to say there couldn't be any defense at all, but, it would be a community where people are not living out of fear, and therefore they don't need to constantly worry about defending themselves because fear is gone. They just live based on love, based on caring about each other, based on harmony with the earth. There would be no toxic chemicals in the gardens that are grown there. There would be no toxic chemicals used in anything. There would be no poisons put into the food supply, the food from the ground to the people. It would be organic, the way it should be, the way it used to be, just living off the earth, in harmony with the earth. We could trade with the outside. People in the community could trade with the outside. Sure, there's going to have to be some money. There could be donations to buy some things like gas and whatnot until maybe it could be more self-sufficient. But I envision a community being able to get pretty well off the grid and still have power, maybe solar panels. Initially, this could come from, maybe there'll be richer people that join the community. Maybe there'll be donations from people outside who like the idea of having a way for humanity to just try living at peace with each other in a small community where people can be free. Their worth is not judged based solely on how much money they make or how good they are for the machine, but for how much joy they bring to their neighbors, to how well they're able to help each other out. The goal would be happiness, so everyone would be doing what makes them happy. Everyone would be utilizing their gifts and their own skills, and everyone has gifts, and in our society those gifts are often suppressed, especially when it comes to spiritual gifts that are often seen as making people crazy. Anyway, teachers, they'd be teaching the subjects that they're knowledgeable in, and they'd be teaching what they enjoy teaching, so they'd enjoy doing it. People that like animals would be taking care of animals. People that enjoy gardening would be doing the gardening, and so on and so forth. Everybody would have their place. No one would feel like an outcast. No one would be used for the benefit of a higher class of people. Everyone would have their place, and people that are good at cooking meals would probably do more cooking than some of the other people, stuff like that. In the end, it really wouldn't be that difficult. Everyone just finds what they're good at, and if you get enough variety of people, you're going to have enough skills to take care of the whole community, and it's all going to fall into place, and it's going to work. That's how humanity is. That's how communities work. Where one person lacks, another person has strength. That's just how the human race is, and sooner we realize that as humanity we're one, and we join together and unite for peace rather than dividing over religion, politics, fighting over the earth's limited resources and things of that nature, the sooner we're going to be happier, all of us as individuals and as communities, and eventually as countries and the whole world. Maybe in this community, who knows how the housing would be, but it wouldn't be giant houses. There wouldn't be a single person with a house with 3 bedrooms. The houses would be sized for the people. It would not be excess. Maybe people could live in campers if they wanted. It's happened before in the past. It's been successful. Like Pythagoras, the school of Pythagoras is a good example. He had quite a community just like this, and basically they lived with love was the law. It was the law of the community, and they didn't kill animals to eat them. They ate vegetarian diets. Anyway, this is my dream for a community like this, where really people would just share. Really, that's what it boils down to, is just people sharing. And this is my dream, my vision, and I don't know if I can make it a reality. I do know that what I've been doing and what most people do, slaving away, working hard, it just, the way that society's set up, the way the bankers have the money devalued and inflation and all that, I'm not even going to get into it, but the way the system's set up is the average person can't get ahead. They can't even break even once they're in debt. And if they don't go into debt, I mean, how do you own a house? How do you even get property? You know, there's people out there willing to invest $100,000 in a new business. I see it all over the place in this very town. Not enough to have more than enough money when you retire. You have to invest that extra money to make even more money. You can't, use it to somehow try to invest it in charity and in starting some helpful community that might be able to help get homeless people off the streets, because the living would be cheap. Just imagine if a fraction of the people giving loads of money to their favorite politician, doesn't matter right or left, what if they gave that money to someone investing in a community like this? It wouldn't take that long before there was enough money to buy a chunk of land. And from there, it would be easier and easier from that point on. Once you have land, I know there's people out there, they're sick of the debt slavery, they're sick of the taxes, they're sick of all of it. And think about it, there's no taxes when nobody's making money. When everyone's just trading their own skills to receive the skills of someone else, when someone's growing food in exchange for someone else's eggs, it wouldn't even be traded like that, but that's how it would be seen by the outside world, potentially. Then there's nothing to tax, and yet everyone's getting everything they need. Shouldn't be that difficult compared to trying to actually bring peace on earth just like that, snap of the finger. So just imagine if a fraction of the amount of money going to politicians who promise to bring these real changes went to people starting such communities. I believe the demand is out there for something like this, for a community based on peace, based on love, and freedom. The freedom to be left alone by the corporations, by the government, to the freedom to help each other, the freedom to keep all your energy, to use all your energy to help others, rather than have it be suctioned off 25 to 40% of your money in taxes going to a government that spends $700 billion a year or more on war to kill people. You're never going to have peace on earth when your money is being constantly spent to starve the world through sanctions and to bomb them to death. It's just not. That's not how peace works. War never brings peace. Killing people never brings peace. And I was also thinking about how much money is out there already. How many landowners like Ted Turner, locally in Montana, he's one of the biggest landowners in America. If there's people like that out there, what am I doing just trying to save $20,000-$40,000 just to get a tiny little chunk of land to try to help others, when there's that much wealth already out there? When our government spends $10 million a day to fund the state of Israel. $10 million a day. Do you know what I could do with $10 million a day? I'm pretty sure I could save the world. One person at a time. One homeless person at a time. I could build a community that could house hundreds of people with just one day's worth of that money that Israel's getting. And what are they doing with it? They're bulldozing communities, Palestinian communities. They're bombing Gaza. And they're developing more weapons, more weapons, more weapons. You don't get peace by developing weapons. You get peace by making peace. So it's this dichotomy, it's craziness. In any event, doing what I've been doing isn't cutting it, and I can just see how the world is, that there's more than enough wealth out there, and there are probably more than enough people willing to put in the hard work to build communities like this. The basic thing is to get off the grid as much as possible, get away from government control, corporate control, get off from putting your energy into the system that's not helping anyone, and put it into helping each other until we become free. And so I can see that, and I can also see that trying to save all my money to get a chunk of land just to try to start something like this isn't going to work. So I know the money's out there, I know the wealth is out there, and I know the people are out there that want to do this. I've talked to them, I've met them, and they're all like I used to be. They say it's not possible, so I'm going to keep living my life the way I'm used to, just in the rat race. And I've decided that if I really want change, I'm going to have to somehow do something different. I have a dream, building community based on freedom, love, peace, help show people that they can live a debt-free lifestyle, show people that they can live on less and still be happy, help show people that by caring for one another, maybe they can get all their needs met without having to rely on government, without having to rely on working 40 to 60 to 80-hour weeks, to show people that they can eat healthy without breaking the bank. Anyway, this has been Jason. Till next time, peace.